Hello readers, I'm Amy and today we're doing my summer unhaul. Now previously I've done my unhauls as vlogs, so whenever I find a book that I want to take off my shelf I would vlog about it, take it off to the library or to my workplace to donate, and that would be it. But with coronavirus there's not really been a reason to do that because most of the places are closed to donations. I can still bring books to work, but I actually still have the winter and spring unhaul books in the trunk of my car because a lot of them don't have any place to go. So instead of doing a vlog, I'm just going to do my unhaul all at once because again, they don't really have any place to go right now besides the back of my car. First off, we have The Science of Evil. Now this is one of the first books that I reviewed on my channel. I enjoyed it. I think it had a lot of interesting things to say. It's basically a study of empathy and being evil and the psychology of all of that, and I really enjoyed it. But that said, it was really academic considering my reading tastes now, and while I really like having it, I just don't think I'm ever going to read it again, so I'm probably going to give this to my therapist friend because I think she could get a lot out of it. Then I have When Rabbit Howls. I had started this for the mental health-a-thon in 2019, and I just wasn't in the place to be reading it at that time, even though it looked really good, so I put it off, and then I found the book at a used bookstore this year and started reading it again for Mental Health-a-thon. I was actually buddy reading it with Demi. She's from the Weird Collection because my best friend has started her own channel. And buddy read-wise, I got like 2 or 3 chapters into this before I gave up on it, and Demi also ended up DNFing it. I think it's basically chronicling Trudy Chase's childhood trauma and talking about her 92 personalities, because she has multiple personality disorder, or dissociative identity disorder. I think it's just called dissociative identity disorder now. I don't know if they use the multiple personality anymore. I'll have to check up on that. But I don't know. It reminded me of whenever I tried to read Freshwater earlier this year as well, where Freshwater is talking about feeling like you're someone else, feeling like you have other people inside of you, and I'm finding that these kind of stories just feel really disjointed for me. Like, Freshwater was really literary and wasn't really getting through to me, so I loved the writing of it, but I just couldn't understand anything that was going on. This book also felt disjointed. We would kind of jump between different voices and different writing styles, and I wasn't really sure what the starting point of the story was. It just wasn't working for me. If you have any DID book recommendations, please comment them down below because I'm looking for one that I can really get into. Because I think it's important to learn about. It's a perspective that I'm interested in. I'm just not finding the books that are working for me. Next one is Margaret Atwood's Lady Oracle. I read this with Victoria from What Victoria Read earlier this year. Of all the ones that I've read so far this year, there's been like 2 that I've really, really enjoyed. Lady Oracle, I liked the first half of it, 3/4 of it, until I was getting to the point where I'm like, is this book over yet? So I enjoyed it. Not gonna read it again. Gonna go ahead and take it off of my shelf. Michael Crichton and Micro. I have a very good Michael Crichton collection. It's right behind me here. I love Michael Crichton. I've read a lot of his works. Definitely not all of them. I want to say I've maybe read half. Jurassic Park was the first time I fell in love with him. But every time I see Micro on my shelf, I kind of relive the trauma of reading it. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed this book. I had a good time with this book. But also, I am never going to read this book again because it was traumatizing. This book is about a bunch of scientists who get shrunk and they're like going through the grass and they're seeing all these bugs and they're trying to save the world and all of that. And I'm not going to go into detail about this because I don't want to traumatize you like I traumatized me. But the giant bugs, specifically one kind of giant bug, had a particular incident with one of the scientists, and even just thinking about it and almost talking about it right now is freaking me out. But if you're into giant bugs, read Micro. Or rather, if you're into tiny people, read Micro. The bug part, I just... The Troop is a popular book that's been going around this year, about people who get, like, infested with worms and it changes them somehow. And that, as a horror book, as a concept, sounds really good to me, and I would like to read that book. However, because of my feelings on Micro and similar bug-related issues, I just don't think I would be able to get through The Troops. So, again, if you're fine with bugs in your horror and sci-fi, by all means, read this book. And I really hate giving up a Michael Crichton book, but every time I see it on my shelf, it just gives me the jitters, and I'm like, you know what? It needs to go. It just needs to go. I cannot keep looking at it on my shelf. Shutter Island. I read this with Rachel Ray. It was a buddy read several months ago. I wasn't super sold on it. I haven't seen the movie yet still. I've heard good things about it, but in reading the book, it took so long to get through the plot. The length, considering the story, just felt unnecessary. My husband had said that he might read it, but he's really slow on getting into actually reading things, and I honestly don't think he's going to pick this up. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Guy on Island. Psychological stuff ensues. The Joy Luck Club, which I just reviewed. I really enjoyed this book. This is following a Chinese/Chinese American set of families. There's 4 moms, 4 daughters, whose lives we're kind of looking back on. Read like a series of short stories. It was really good. I really enjoyed this. I think it's a great book. However, I just don't think I'm gonna read it again. Like, I liked it. I'm glad I read it. I'm just not gonna reread it. I know I'm not gonna reread it, and getting to the point where I need to make some more space on my shelves. So this is going to a beloved friend of mine who I think will really get a lot out of it, and it'll find a good home on her shelf. Lastly is Fates and Furies. I don't like giving this one up, but again, I need to make space on my shelves, and I know there are books that I've been questioning giving up for a while now, and they're still there. So Fates and Furies I read several years ago. The writing was phenomenal. The writing style of this book is just top-notch. However, there is no plot and nothing of any importance actually happens in this book. And because of that, as much as I loved the writing, I just don't think I'm going to read this again. Because again, there's like no story. But the writing is really good. And even right now, it's kind of hurting me a little bit to give this up. So I'll probably give it to the same friend that's getting Joy Luck Club, because she might enjoy this, and I need to know that this book is going to someone who can love it. So that's it. That is a fairly small unhaul, which is fine, because I'm running out of room in my trunk for books. But I'll see if I can maybe unload some of these on the kids at work, because they might like some of these. Please like, subscribe, follow me on social media, check out the other books that I've unhauled, and leave your hate comments about that. And I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.